Math sucked, and it sucked hard. If Bobby Sheldon had children someday, he would see to it that they never had to do fractions if they didn't feel like it, because fractions sucked worse than anything. In fact, they sucked shit. Bobby? He jerked around in his chair and flushed slightly at the sound of his mother's voice. The S word was totally unallowed, even if he'd only thought about it. Yeah. Finish what you're on and go wash up for lunch. You can do the rest later, okay? Bobby nodded at his mum. Okay. He looked back at the screen and sighed. 1/10 of 10 was 1, so 3/7 of 20 was stupid. Why the hell did he have to know this anyway? He tapped the save control and went to wash his hands. He was going to be a rancher, and what rancher needed to know fractions? His dad said that they came in handy for counting heads, but his dad was a rancher, and so far as Bobby could tell, Dad had never used that shit. Bobby walked back into the living room of their small house and looked out the window for Dad. Tomorrow was school day, which he looked forward to as usual. Not that class was so great, but it was the only time of the week that he got to hang out with the guys. They lived too far out of town for him to go every day, like some of the other kids, although he'd been gone to see the ship come in last night. That had been cool. He had played spy tag with Dal and Alan and hung out and eaten a ton of banana popsicles. Bobby heard his dad before he ever saw him. Actually, he heard Dax first. The terrier always sounded like a bike out of fuel after a morning's work. Dax padded into view a few seconds before his father and headed straight for the water dish at the side of the house. Hey, how's the best 11-year-old in the world? Bob Sr. opened the door in a blast of hot air and smiled at Bobby. The joke was old, but Bobby grinned. He was the only 11-year-old on the whole planet, at least for another month, and then Hung's sister, Ree, would have a birthday. Stupid girl. What's for lunch, hon? Dad stood in the doorway and patted his thigh. Come on, Daxter, we don't have all day. Dax hurried inside, and Dad shut the door against the simmering heat. Mum walked into the room and smoothed her short blonde hair down. She was pretty for a mum, although she was old, at least 36 or so. She smiled at Dad and kissed him on the cheek. Tuna casserole. Tuna? Where do you get tuna? I traded some of our jerky for 3 cans of it from one of the Lecter's crew. She sounded pleased with herself. Good deal. Maybe tomorrow you can take Bobby in, and you can see what else you can get. Bobby followed them into the dining room and listened to them talk about their days. Dad's boss, Mr. Cho, was going to give him a raise. Mom still wanted to build another room on their small house, a reading room. And there was a rumour that some of the Rinth had contracted a virus of some kind, although none of Cho's got sick. It's probably just talk, his father said, like that thing about the flies last year that had everyone going crazy until the doc declared the whole thing a farce. I heard the doc was missing, Mum called from the kitchen. One of Chigusa's people called this morning to tell us to keep an eye out for him. He may have been near the gorge. She carried a steaming dish into the room and set it on the table. Bobby felt his mouth water. They mostly ate meat and canned vegetables. This looks great. Yeah, I heard the same thing. They've already sent out a copter, probably found him by now. I'll check later, but I doubt they need any more help. Mum spooned the casserole onto their plates. Dax ran into the room and started to whine. Hey, no chance, Daxter. You get yours later. Dad reached for the water pitcher. Dax whined louder and went to the front door. Dad sighed and pushed back from the table. Good timing, Dax. Why couldn't... He stopped short as Dax growled at the door, teeth bared. Bobby stood. What is it, boy? What's the matter? Dax continued to growl and then barked, the sound deep and fierce. Bob? Bobby's mother wore a look of concern. Bobby started around the table, but his dad motioned him back. Dax barked again. One of these damn briar-wolves again, his father said, and went to the door. I thought we'd gotten all of them. He picked up the carbine that they kept by the coat rack and checked it, and then opened the door. Sick 'em, Dax. Dax ran outside full speed, his barking a continuous war cry. Dad stepped onto the porch, Bobby and his mother behind him. Dax stopped in the middle of the yard and circled, growling. He acted like there was something there, but there wasn't. The dog backed away and edged forward, all the time barking and growling at nothing. Bobby's eyes widened. There was something, a ripple of dust and light. Dax flickered like he had gone into some kind of magnifier as he circled again. Bobby felt his mum's hands grip his shoulders. Dad? What? Both of you, in the house, now. His mother pulled him backward, but he still watched, and saw as Dax was lifted off the ground in a gout of blood. A huge beast, a monster, appeared from out of nowhere. He held the spear stuck into Daxter. Bobby heard a dull sound like an axe hitting meat. Dax made one short howl of pain and then went quiet. Good God, his father whispered. The monster was tall, masked, inhuman. It shook the dead dog on its spear, sent a rain of red to the ground. Be careful, Bob, his mother almost screamed it. Bobby was petrified, unable to look away. Dax? He watched as the monster tossed the dog over its shoulder and turned to face his father. Dad brought the carbine up and aimed. There was a sudden shift and creak from the roof, like when Dad had pitched into tiling, like somebody was up there. And a ripple of light and dust plunged into his father's skull. Bobby screamed. Dad reached up to clutch at the now visible metal claws that had worked into his face. Mum spun to face the kitchen. Her breath came in short gasps. Run, Bobby. Mommy is... Run. We have to get to the truck out the back. He tripped and sprawled on the floor. His mother pulled him up and shoved him towards the rear door. There was a giant, splintering crunch from the front porch. Bobby and his mother both turned. The monster crouched in the doorway. Impossibly fast, it reached for Mum, grabbed her, and ripped her throat open. Once again, the sound of meat being cut. Warmth dotted Bobby's face, turned his vision to red. He screamed, Mum! He ran. There was no time to think, only move. The flyer outside his parents' room. Daddy had shown him how. Bobby ducked across the hall and into their bedroom. Without a pause, he ran and jumped through the thin plastic window. There was another scream, his, as the window shattered, and there was the bike, within reach. He hit the ignition button as if he had ridden 1,000 times. The machine roared to life, raised up from the ground. And behind him was the sound of some evil bird, screeching, hoarse and piercing. Something touched his shoe, still inside the house, and the bike lurched forward, pulled him away. There was another and another of the murdering creatures, all claws and hate. They came out of nowhere, appearing like magic. They reached for him, and he took off, tilted wildly. He aimed the bike for the east, towards town. He kept his sweaty hand jammed to the accelerator. Behind him the things howled and screamed. Horrible, horrible. Mom, Dad. There was a noise like gunfire, but hollow, and the wall of rock in front of him to the left exploded. Sharp pieces hammered the bike, stuck into his skin. But it didn't matter, it didn't hurt. And beyond that, Bobby knew nothing. Deshinde was pleased. True, they had lost one, but they had faced the deadly humans and come away unscathed with 2 kills. The escaped one would die soon enough, with the rest. It had surely gone to alert the others. They would have to be prepared. Deshinde watched as the other Yautja danced and cried over the victory. He himself had killed the second Ooman. It had been without a weapon, but as dangerous as he had heard the Oomans could be, that was allowable. Hunt or be hunted. Deshinde would have disapproved. Deshinde flared his tusks in amusement at the thought. Deshinde was Day. His opinion no longer held any meaning. Besides, with no one to hold judgment over their actions, they would take what they wanted. From what he had seen so far, the humans were not so dangerous as the Yautja had been led to believe.